My name is Orlando Gallardo. I'm a United Methodist pastor in KCK at Trinity Community Church. So I would like to tell you all a little bit about my story. I came to the United States when I was 16 years old. I'm from Acapulco, Mexico. My mom, she had my brother and my sister. And when my sister was born, she didn't want to have any more children because my dad was abusive to my brother and my sister. Somehow, some way, she ended up getting pregnant with me when she was in her 40s. So I was an unexpected child and coming into a struggling family. So when I became a teenager, my mom didn't know what to do with me because one, she didn't have any money, and also I was doing poorly in school and stuff. So my mom and my brother decided that they were pretty desperate, and I was a 15-year-old kid. I didn't understand my situation. And so they decided that the best thing for me was to come here without documents to at least strive to get a better future. So 15 years old, I crossed the border, and it took me about a week. I spent a week with no food, and I was in an abandoned house. I was afraid. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. And this is the moment in which, for the very first time in my life, I prayed. I prayed to God because I remember my mom growing up. She was always praying all the time for her children. I felt a presence there with me. And at that moment, I didn't have the theological language or the seminary education to understand what was happening to me. But I could tell that, God was there with me. And from then on, it's like something happened within me that kind of just made me more aware of the divine. And so I ended up coming to the United States. I came to Waterloo, Iowa. I went to high school. And then my junior year in high school, that's when I started going to a church, a Christian church. And this church was a very conservative church. It was a middle-class white church. And when they found out that I was undocumented, they were very split because some people agreed that I shouldn't be here. They wanted me to go back to Mexico. And other people were thinking like, well, it sounds like you met God at the border, and maybe God has a plan for you to be here. And at this point, I was I was hurt because the church has become my family. And at this point, I felt rejected by my family, by my faith. And so, and at this moment also, a door opened for me to go to college, to go to a university, to get my education. And so I felt like God was leading me towards the university, towards going to college. So I decided to take that leap of faith and stay in the United States and go to college, even though I ended up losing my faith family. But I still held on to my faith. At this point in my life, I was waiting for my documents because my brother was a citizen, and he applied for me to get documents. I was stuck. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. And one of my professors helped me to apply to different graduate schools because I wanted to get my PhD eventually. So a United Methodist Seminary in Kansas City, St. Paul School of Theology, answered that email. The admin at that time was Alan Hernan, and he replied, he was very interested in meeting me because like a week before, he went to a seminar on undocumented students, and he received this email about an undocumented student, and he wanted to meet me because he's like, this is such a coincidence, it's like God working. I applied, I got accepted, and that's how I ended up in Kansas City going to seminary. But while going to seminary, I did an internship in Des Moines, Iowa, at a United Methodist church called Trinity, and at this church is where I learned about the United Methodist stance on social justice. This church was all composed of undocumented immigrants and the Anglo community working together. And at this church, the pastors kind of gave me the language to talk about God in a way that applied to me, to my experience, like I working in the lives of undocumented people. So it's like I found the language in my faith that applied to me. And at this church, for the first time, I preached about about God, about immigration. I felt like God wanted me, it's like God calling me to be in ministry, and this is what I wanted to be. So I became a United Methodist at that point, and I wanted to pursue my career as a minister. But I found out that without papers, I wasn't able to do it. So that got stopped, and I wasn't able to pursue my calling. And at this point, I sank into a deep depression because that door got closed. I felt like, and I just felt like just hopeless. So those 2 years were really hard. And in 2012, I graduated from seminary, and that's when Obama made the announcement of DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. DACA is not a pathway for citizenship. DACA simply allows people who have been in the United States since they were 15 years old to apply to get a working permit, a social security number, and a driver's license. And you had to renew it every 2 years. It's an expensive process, and also you cannot have a criminal record to receive DACA. And so I applied for DACA, and I was able to get it. And so at this point, I began the process of kind of once again finding myself within all the depression and all the just disappointment that I was feeling at that point, to kind of resurface that where is my calling that God has given to me originally. And eventually I found it, and in 2016 I became a provisional elder, and now this year I'm becoming a full ordained elder in the United Methodist Church. So that's my story in a nutshell. Thank you everybody for listening. And cut.